My best friend convinced my husband to divorce me for my inheritance. But she had no idea what came next. While I was crying over my broken marriage, they were already planning how to spend my grandmother's money. But my grandmother was smarter than all of us combined. Their greed cost them everything, and I got the last laugh. Stay tuned to see how my grandmother's wisdom turned my worst betrayal into the sweetest revenge. Hello family, before we start this intriguing story, we will like you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified once we drop new story. Also comment the time you are watching this and country you are watching from. Demima hummed softly as she prepared breakfast in her beautiful kitchen overlooking Lagos Island. The golden sunrise painted everything warm. Her husband Zan sat reading news on his tablet, occasionally smiling at her. Their 5-year marriage felt like a fairy tale. Demima's inheritance from her grandmother had bought them this luxury apartment and funded Zan's struggling tech business. Life was perfect, or so she thought. The smell of fresh bread filled the air as she set the table, unaware that this peaceful morning would be their last together. Ivory arrived at noon with her usual bright smile and expensive handbag. She was Demima's closest friend since university, always supportive, always caring. They sat on the balcony drinking hibiscus tea while Zan worked in his study. "You're so lucky, sister," Ivory said, admiring the view. "This beautiful home, successful husband, all that money your grandmother left you." Something flickered in her eyes that Demima missed. Ivory's fingers traced the expensive furniture as she spoke, calculating, measuring, wanting what wasn't hers to have. Later that week, Ivory visited again while Demima was shopping. She found Zan stressed about business delays. "You know," Ivory said carefully, "some men feel uncomfortable living off their wife's money. It damages their pride." Zan looked up, frowning. "Demima controls everything now," Ivory continued. "The house, the business funding, even your future. Is that the marriage you wanted?" Her words were poison disguised as concern. Zan had never thought about it this way. The seed was planted in fertile ground of masculine insecurity. Demima noticed Zan growing distant. He stopped laughing at her jokes, avoided her touch, spent long hours on his phone. When she asked what was wrong, he snapped at her. "Nothing. Can't a man have some space?" Confused and hurt, Demima called Ivory for advice. "Maybe he needs time to find himself," Ivory suggested sweetly. "Men sometimes feel trapped in comfortable situations." But Ivory was also calling Zan daily, feeding his doubts, painting Demima as controlling and manipulative. The poison was spreading through their marriage like acid. 3 months later, Zan threw divorce papers on the kitchen table where they once shared happy breakfasts. "I want out, Demima. This marriage is suffocating me." Demima stared in shock, her world crumbling. "But why? What did I do wrong?" Tears streamed down her face. "You control everything with your grandmother's money. I feel like a puppet in my own life." He walked away, leaving her broken on the floor. Outside the window, Ivory sat in her car, watching the destruction with satisfaction. Phase 1 was complete. Soon, all of Demima's wealth would be within her reach. 2 weeks after the divorce papers, Demima wandered through her empty apartment like a ghost. Zan had moved out, taking only his clothes and laptop. The silence was deafening. Her phone buzzed constantly with calls from concerned family members, but she couldn't bear to explain what she didn't understand herself. The kitchen where she once cooked with love now felt like a museum of broken dreams. Her reflection in the mirror showed hollow eyes and sunken cheeks. She had lost 15 pounds from not eating, surviving only on tears and confusion. How had 5 years of love vanished overnight? Ivory arrived with groceries and a concerned expression, playing the perfect supportive friend. "Oh, my dear sister, you look terrible," she cooed, embracing Demima tightly. "Men can be so cruel and selfish. But don't worry, I'm here for you." She prepared soup while Demima sat numbly at the table. "Maybe this is for the best," Ivory suggested gently. "You deserve someone who appreciates your generosity, not someone who resents your success." Her words felt like comfort, but beneath the surface, Ivory was studying the apartment, memorizing every expensive detail, every piece of valuable art that would soon be hers. That same evening, Ivory met Zan at a quiet restaurant in Victoria Island. Their table was hidden in a dark corner, away from prying eyes. "She's completely broken," Ivory reported with fake sadness. "The poor thing barely eats. But she's starting to consider selling the apartment." Zan shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "I feel terrible about this, Ivory. Maybe we should stop." But Ivory leaned forward, her eyes hard as steel. "Don't get weak now, Zan. Remember what we discussed. Once you're free we can be together and half of everything becomes yours through the divorce. Then we'll have the life we deserve. While cleaning Zahn's forgotten jacket, Demima found a crumpled restaurant receipt from the night before. Her heart stopped. It was for 2 people at the same time. Ivory claimed to be home with a headache. Suspicious thoughts crept into her mind like poisonous snakes. She checked Zahn's old email account, which he had forgotten to change the password for. Her blood turned to ice as she read months of messages between him and Ivory. "She's so naive," one message read. "She actually thinks you love her." Another said, "Once we get the inheritance money, we can travel the world together." The betrayal cut deeper than any knife ever could. Demima spent the entire night reading every message, every cruel laugh at her expense, every detail of their plan to destroy her life. They had been plotting for 8 months, using her love against her, making her the fool in her own story. But as dawn broke over Lagos, something powerful awakened in Demima's chest. Not just anger but steel determination. She was not the weak, naive woman they believed her to be. Her grandmother had taught her that strength comes from standing up when the world tries to knock you down. Ivory and Zahn thought they had won, but they had awakened a lioness. The real game was about to begin and Demima would not be the victim. Demima called her grandmother's old lawyer, Uncle Demola, with shaking hands. "There's something about your inheritance I never told you," he said quietly. "Your grandmother was very wise. She created a special clause in her will. If anyone tries to manipulate you for your money, especially through marriage deception, all assets return to a family trust." Demima's heart raced. She knew this might happen? Uncle Demola chuckled. "Your grandmother survived 3 wars and 5 business partnerships. She could smell greed from miles away. She protected you even from beyond the grave. The inheritance wasn't just money, it was a trap for gold diggers." Demima dried her tears and called Ivory, pretending to be completely broken. "Sister, I can't handle this pain anymore. I want to sell everything and leave Lagos forever." Ivory's voice tried to hide excitement. "Oh no, don't make quick decisions when you're emotional." But inside, Ivory was celebrating. "Actually," Demima continued, "I need someone I trust to help me handle the property sales. Would you help me?" Ivory's greed blinded her to the trap. "Of course, my dear friend. I'll do everything to help you." She was already imagining the commission fees and properties she could claim were gifts for her help. Demima invited both Ivory and Zahn to dinner at an expensive restaurant, claiming she wanted closure before leaving Nigeria forever. She wore her best dress and smiled warmly, playing the broken woman perfectly. During dessert she pulled out her phone. "I found something interesting while packing Zahn's things," she said sweetly. She played their recorded conversations, their cruel laughter, their detailed plans to steal her inheritance. The color drained from both their faces. Other diners turned to stare as their own voices echoed their betrayal. "Demima, we can explain," Zahn stammered, but she raised her hand for silence. The mask was finally off. "You see," Demima continued calmly, "my grandmother wasn't just rich. She was brilliant. Every lawyer in Lagos knows about her famous inheritance clause." She pulled out legal documents. "According to her will, when someone marries me only for money, especially with help from a supposed friend, all assets immediately transfer to the grandmother, a Dunk Foundation for orphan children." Ivory's expensive handbag fell from her shaking hands. "You've been playing a game where you already lost before you started. The divorce papers you're so proud of just activated the clause. Congratulations, you destroyed my marriage for absolutely nothing." Both betrayers sat in stunned silence as reality crashed down. 6 months later, Demima stood in the courtyard of the new orphanage built with her grandmother's money. Children's laughter filled the air as they played with toys bought from the foundation's funds. Zahn and Ivory had left Lagos in shame, their reputations destroyed when the story spread through their social circles. Demima's phone rang. It was Kofi, the kind doctor she'd met while volunteering at the orphanage. "Would you like to have dinner tonight?" he asked warmly. "I'd love to hear more about your grandmother's stories." Demima smiled, feeling genuine happiness for the first time in months. Sometimes the greatest revenge is simply living well and helping others do the same. Moral lesson. True wealth isn't what you possess, but what you give and the genuine love you attract. Greed blinds people to the very traps they walk into, while wisdom protects those who use their blessings to serve others. The greatest inheritance isn't money, it's the values and wisdom passed down through generations. When you live with integrity and generosity, the universe has a way of protecting you from those who would exploit your kindness, often in ways you never expected. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos like this.